I had other things on my mind. Hi, how are you? Thanks for stopping in on short notice. It is I, the Great Baldini. That's right. Except no imitations. Let's see. What shall we do here? Okay, so I had a couple of things in mind for this evening, just really kind of brief and but I think important. Right. So first is, hi, how are you? I'm still alive this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We're going to cover it week to week. Now, what I don't want really is to this become like a medical update thing every time. I just that's not my deal. I probably will have medical updates that are just that little brief thing, and off you go. But there's some other things I want to cover, and I feel like there's increasingly limited time, right? And I did, along with you, listen to the last one, and is my way. I normally don't listen to the podcast at all, other than maybe some of the Noodles, to see if there's something I like in the music. But yeah, I noticed, people, people talk, but I had noticed some of the comments from the first, or I guess the last couple of things. We'll talk about some of those, but it's not. I guess I would say it is not untrue that things are different. I mean, I don't sound the same. I don't. Frankly, I don't feel the same, and I don't want it to become sad, and I don't want that. I'm hoping that that's not. As I spend time in contemplation and prayer over the matter, I do feel like Dad is right in the middle of this, even though it is not what I would have chosen. Certainly, this is not what I would have chosen. But I, the more I spend time with him, the more I see how this could, be for his glory. And if that is the case, then I'm all for it. So, I would openly say that I feel that I have let Dad down. As it, like, overall with my life, that I have not done my best at times. Now, it's been a very long time since that was the way, and I have been trying to follow the way for a very long time, right? Or at least 25, 27 years, something like that now, uninterrupted. So it's different than it was before, and it certainly has been a learning experience, right, for me throughout these years. Well, I'd say mostly. That is most of my experience with that is him helping me understand where it is that my heart hurts. And it's interesting, he doesn't always tell me how it's hurt or what caused it, but he will certainly show me where it hurts. And sort of tenderly ask if I'm ready to deal with that yet. And they're not usually the easy things. I mean, we've gone on quite a lengthy period of time. We're getting to some of the more difficult and painful places that he wants to heal. So it is. It's more difficult in some ways. In other ways, I know him a lot better. I'm quicker to recognize that it for sure is him I'm listening to. There can be at first, because of the nature of the still small voice, that it is not, a big thunderclap or, anything like that. Is very... often very quiet. And sometimes he backs up altogether. I can't hear him for days, and that's terrifying. But when I find, again, that still small voice, it is comforting. And I know it so well now, and so well that I can act on it almost immediately, because I know that's the voice of my friend. Even when, it sometimes says some pretty out there things, I know who I'm talking to, right? And one of the things that I find is that our enemy is, he will often try to impersonate, right? At least, can't. I've never found him to be really that good at impersonating Dad at all, because Dad has a way to him, and Lucy just can't do that presence thing, because well, he's not God, But for example, I have told people that honestly, very few of my primary conversations, or at least when it's going both ways, a conversation, dialogue, and not just a monologue. Hey Trey, thanks man, it's great to see you. Is when it's Dad, it's pretty much a monologue, because he's big and kind of scary, even though he's obviously the very definition of love, and he is just unbelievably beautiful, but it's kind of terrifying. It's pretty big. Yeah. Anyway, but to get back to this, most of my experience is simply him trying to heal my heart, right? And I will tell you also that there is almost 0% of that time spent him telling me what's wrong with somebody else, right? That's just not his way, in my experience. So, and I just see so much of it. I guess I bring that up because I see so much of it. So people out there want to tell other people what God wants them to do, and I'm like, man, that's either brave or stupid. To put your name on something that, a letter that Dad didn't sign. That's, man, you're braver than me, because I'm pretty close with him. I feel like I'm pretty tight with him, and perhaps that is why I would be loath to throw out there anything and just say, hey, Dad says blah blah blah. Oh man, that I would be in terror. That's a terrible idea. Get to know Dad first, and then then you can kind of assess that. But I think what I want to say here, in a weird, convoluted way, is that most of my conversations and with Dad wouldn't really probably be much of interest to you. Maybe, and there are times, admittedly, I will ask specific for certain things, and I'll even ask questions, and sometimes, wait for the answer if it's a burden for somebody. But just most of it is just healing my heart, right? A lot of the other stuff is who I would describe as J-bro, Jesus, often the intellectual side and challenging my thoughts, and hey, what do you think about this? Again, people who already get it. And that's one of the things that I love about my relationship with Dad, is that I can go anywhere in the world and meet people right away who I know are friends with him, just because of their being. The light just shines out of them, and I know that light. And it draws me to it. And it does often draw people who are brokenhearted, and they need, love. And so they sense it, and they come toward it. And then it's kind of up to you on how you want to handle that, because sometimes, like the drowning person, the moment they sense. But I have noticed an interesting phenomenon, and it's not, how do I want to put it? The phenomenon, it's not what I'm trying to figure out how to put this, because it's not really about me, but it is, people do sometimes have a reaction, right? And I notice it, but usually when it occurs, I'm like, what is going on, right? Because I didn't do anything. I'm not consciously thinking of anything. But what I do see, and I would say probably, more and more of late, is that people do have a response to the light that shines out from Dad. And sometimes, if they're if they're really into the darkness, they really don't like that, and they'll sometimes say so. And it doesn't bother me very much when they have things to say, because I usually know what's involved. Oh God, I really should be covering that up. Okay, so I was trying to cover up these. Now, okay, so last time I was here, we had a friend join us in the chat, and I welcome people, but I also do want it to be nice and friendly. And if you have if you have umbrage that you want to take with me or issues, certainly come to me and tell me about it. Right? If you feel hard done by me, come and talk to me about it, and I would be more than happy to try to make things right. Because I don't want to harm anybody, but a few people seem to have. Here's the thing. Accusations that aren't. They're just sort of allegations, just sort of out there. Just, ooh, he's a bad person. Don't listen. You can't trust him. It's like, well, in what way? Speak to me about this. Tell me in what way I've deceived you by reading Scripture. Right? How have I harmed you by praying for you? I don't understand it, but if you come speak to me about that, right? Come to me and say, this hurt me, right? Show me on this doll, where this stream hurt you. But there are some of them, right, that are not. No, you'll see like stuff like this. They're not really meant for me, right? They're written to me, but they're not really for me. So here we have a friend. I'm trying to block his name there, but on our last conversation, right, he spent a fair amount of time putting this stuff together, and he tries to make a point, right? And he's just coming down to the bottom. And what he really wants to say here, I listened to you talk for 90 minutes through a week worth of thoughts in set amount of time. That's just me. It's just one of the things that has changed is my filter is a little bit different. So after the major neurological event that I just had, what I described last time is I'm having a difficulty putting it back together at the time that I'm usually able to do this. So what you think you see is actually the opposite, right? You think you're seeing me trying to grab all this stuff and put it together, but that's what I'm just not good at it right now because I've had a stroke. Well, a major a seizure, right? So a major neurological event. But the point here is they really want you to know that I'm untrustworthy, right? And you shouldn't listen, which I guess is okay. But they're just, we had a friend, a visitor, and live in our chat, and seemed to be very, very insistent that you should. I'm not to be trusted. It's up to you. But I find it an interesting thing, right? Instead of bringing in any direct accusation or coming to me and saying, hey, you did this thing and it made me unhappy and I'd like you to fix it. That's not what happened, right? And they're not even talking to me and saying what a terrible person I am and how I smell bad and I dress funny. And these are things I know already, right? That's no surprise. I know what and who I am, more so than do most of you. But you watch, and you're welcome to do that. And I'm honest with you, and I'm open, and I'm transparent. And sometimes, right, that's just ugly, just because something that it was not, either to the positive or the negative, right? Just that it is what it is. But this should be about me at all, right? I didn't even use my name. Didn't even want there to be you know, I mean, I didn't put my name out there for the longest period of time. And why? Well, you know, because I felt like the subject was more important than the speaker, right? I didn't want anybody to get, you know, into some of the side stuff, right? Or really taken with some of the work that I've done before, right? Because if you wanted to, you can dig through there and find some interesting things that I've done for work before. And a lot of people find that interesting and they want to know more about it. That's fine, but that's not what my intention was. Enter, right? It was because I had some information I thought would be relevant, and you know, they thought it was too, and so, you know, I began kind of a regular contributor to a variety of different shows, you know, until until like, I don't even know what's exactly going on, because it doesn't really matter, right? I took time off because, well, they were, you know, some people were being a hassle, and I don't like hassle, but mostly I had this terrible thing happening to me physically that, you know, I've never been sick in my whole life, and then suddenly things were taking a very southerly turn, and I really needed to get my poop together, right? And trying to do both, actually take care of myself and do a fair job of yeah, that's enough, right? I mean, what I really, again, the intention ultimately was that, you know, you come and find a place that you can hang out and learn whatever, right? I mean, at the outset, I had some projects, research projects I was interested in doing, but certainly I think many of us found, right, that the best part about it, at least on the weekends, I still enjoy the research stuff, but on the weekends, you know, really have a good time digging more into the, I guess I would say, spiritual stuff, right? Reading scripture, talking about Dad. That's some of my favorite things, and certainly with the world around us, is probably not a bad topic. So as I kind of try to get a better handle on what's coming next for me, because I think I was pretty open the last couple of times that I'm facing some health issues that are right now fairly, you know, still kind of unknown. I have appointments scheduled for neurologists and a variety of other specialists, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I've been doing a pretty rapid job of getting up to date with Dr. Google. I have at least a better idea of what the initial indications are. I'll see what the neurologist says, but, you know, it doesn't look great. It basically looks like a delamination process of the nerve sheath, the myelin nerve covering, right? And it's a degenerative process, and it's going to have a bad end. I mean, or at least I'm not going to like it very much, I suppose. So that's what I mean. So far, that's what I know. You know, rapid acceleration. It's presented in a way, well, sometimes worse than others. Awareness of it calms it down some, but it's not what I expected, right? And I'm not here to make you feel sorry for me. I'm just saying it was a curveball that I wasn't expecting. So, but I don't, well, like I said, there's so much going on there, but it also, that I think negatively affects the quality of my presentations and how I speak to you. So I'm going to have to really take a look at how I want to approach this. It may simply just be better for me to do some recorded pieces and edit it and put it together, although that lacks some of the togetherness. But apparently, according to Richard, that we are kind of lagging here. So apparently I don't have to worry about that, right? I don't, like I said, so today's a little odd, but I did want to bring in first that if anyone tries to dissuade you, right, from coming here, just, you know, I mean, again, do as you wish, but so far it's just been not even direct accusation beyond I guess a couple or early on or whatever, that pretty easy to dismiss those. I mean, I do have all the receipts. It's not like, yeah, it's not like anybody even asked. That was the best part, right? Had they simply asked, I would have just been happy to show them. It would have been all done. I was like, but see, that didn't suit the purpose. They didn't want that to be the answer, right? So then we come to other things like, so what's that about? And I got to tell you, the thing that I thought was fear, and I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Because that says more than just I don't like the program, I don't like the way he talks, or I don't like the content that he talks about. That was outright fear. Oh, wow, that's pretty interesting. Because certainly that fear isn't of me. I mean, look at me. I'm not in any shape to get into a fight, right? I may still be, physically strong, still pretty big, but beating up a guy. Oh dear, what's happening here? It says it's going to stop. Okay, now it says it's running again. I don't know. I'm so sorry. It's coming and going the stream. I don't know why. I expect that I'll have to deal with this from time immemorial. Like, I don't know. It's irritating and getting frustrated because it's what maybe kind of rage quit before I was doing Freeqy Freqs, and it just stopped working, and I was just done. just done. And so, anyway, so here's what I want to do tonight, right? So I apologize if you came expecting, a big full on presentation. I'm not going to do that tonight. I think what I do want to do tonight instead is, you've probably heard me do the little ringy dingy thing, but I want to do that with some health issue, and another one has a financial life thing, whatever. And I just thought, you know what? How about we? I know it's weird, but how about we just get together and pray for this, and I'll pray for the folks. And if you have something you want to, have me pray over, I'm happy to do that as well. Just invite the Spirit of God to move with us. And if you have any needs or anything, I can't guarantee that me doing anything is helpful. I mean, Scripture does say the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. But if you can't find one, I'm often available. So we'll do that. But I do want to bring in first, I think, some ringy-dingy stuff, and I want to focus specifically, and I wish I'd told her so she could be here, but maybe not. Maybe I'll just point her into it afterwards, and she'll go, what is going on here? Just for Angela, that she's been, having some ongoing issues and kind of similar to mine, and so I just want to ask Dad to be present in her life and bring some healing power. And I think that, I noticed a couple of people in chat already, and I won't embarrass you, but that could probably benefit from that as well. And since I have seen imputation by proximity, I don't see why not, right? No probably special guidance or whatever to do that. Well, in any case, other than to do it. So I don't have anything special other than just do this. So Dad nudged me and asked me to do it, and I said, okay, I'll do that. So here we go. So if you'll join with me, I hope to make a situation here in which we can find it, conversant, but also, that we find a place that Dad finds it pleasant to be here. So with that, let's just Alrighty, so if you're wondering what the heck that is, what are you listening to? These are singing bowl and tuning forks. And when I put them together, they make fun, nice sounds, right? So then we'll go over that. Hey Kurt, what's up, man? I'm doing a little Freeky Freaks here, and I'm also asking, gonna ask Dad for some health and healing for somebody. You want to stick around for that anyway? I want to. this is a spot that I haven't really set up yet, so I hope that it doesn't get too weird. I'm just trying to set this up where I can do both the talking and the playing at the same time. It's not really working with me right now, but I feel like I want to do that. So let's just see if what I can get in terms of sort of maybe kinds of sort of. It's probably again not a great idea until I get it put together, but such as it is, here we are. All right. That out of there. Whoops. I think I like this better. Just want you to meet us here tonight. And just be with each heart. I know that whenever I come to you and my heart is broken, I don't even have to start the words. Because you're always there for me. Said that you would never turn us away with a broken heart and a conciliatory spirit. friends. They're not, I don't know, listeners or audience members, but they're my friends. So I just consider it a favor if you would just meet the need of everyone here tonight. If you have a need, just kind of stick your hands up and say, Dad, help me. It's a hard one, Dad, because you know that I never hold back between me and you. And I'm worried. I've never faced anything like this before. I'm just going to need you with me to walk this out. take a look at. Did anybody raise their hand or said me? These are the ones. Yeah, it's still. I'm still so out of practice. I'm so embarrassed. I'm sorry. There's that. But now let me look at what you guys got. Yeah, there is a lot of stuff going on out there, right? And I mean, like really crazy stuff going on there out there. I want to bring this back up here for a minute if I can. Maybe I should, or I don't know if I should do that or not. But there's a whole lot of things going out there, guys. That but let's do this, right? So I think I'm going to tease it, and then I think I'm going to put together like a complete show, and we'll do the name again. I think Fear and Loathing or something like that, because this is a topic I do want to talk about, and it's a tough one, right? Because you sound completely nuts when you talk about it, but I think I'm just going to lean into that now and just be nuts for the rest of the ride. Why not? Time's too short to mess around with translations. So what we got is as I begin, begin when I look out there around us, right? The world out there. I mean, I got here because I see you guys talking about it in the chat. The world has gone nuts. Right? I don't know any other way to put it. People have gone insane, and I'm not saying that as a prerogative or a purgative, right? What I'm saying is people are losing their minds, and in the past week, I think I counted 9 incidences in the United States of family members who off each other, like they off the whole family and themselves. I mean, again, we don't want to get the big YouTube algorithm chop here, right? But people are ending their own families, their children. And some of them, right, are children doing it to the family. There's one in Ohio. That's a 14-year-old kid, and took out his 9-year-old. And it's not right. It's not right. One of the things that I've noticed, almost by accident, but I've spent a number of years now. I just really wanted to focus on. I got hit with this thing a long time ago, right? Where I was reading scripture, and Jesus said, "I tell you the truth that the Son, I only do what I see my Father do, and I can do nothing without the Father." And it struck me in a way to say, a couple of different things. One, that he was saying that everything that he does is accessible to us, so that he didn't do anything in his own power as the Son of God, but he did it as a servant, as a human servant of the Father, in the same way that we could. So all the things he said, because he said, "These things and more you'll do, right, in my name, because I go to send you the Spirit." And right, he gave us this power. So he first said that I'm not doing this of my own accord. I'm only doing what I see Dad do, right? And so I'm following what he wants me to do, and so I'll do that. And that's really interesting, because he also says, "I only do what I see the Father do." And so he's looking for an opportunity so he follows Dad everywhere, right? And then he sees an opportunity and shows up. And I'm like, that is a fascinating take on this, right? Because he's showing us that he is completely reliant on the Father, and that all the things that that he's doing, we have access to and more. He says that. Now, the really interesting thing, if you want to keep following that, is that, we pay a good deal of attention to Jesus and his miracles, and rightly so. He went around, and it says he healed many people, right? Raised the dead, caused the blind to see, caused those who could not hear to hear, and did miracles of all kinds. And yet the one that we really are probably least comfortable talking about, and yet I went back and counted, because it seemed like it at first blush, and so I had to count it. I don't remember now the exact number, but in each of the Gospels, right, the most quoted, or the most spoken about miracle was casting out of demons. Like he was doing that everywhere, right? So like almost 3 to 1 in, I think, Luke, of his other miracles, he was casting out demons, which is, I'm sure, make the crowd today consider kind of uncomfortable. But also the other take on it there, right, is that the people around them didn't seem to think that was unusual. I mean, it's not like they said, "Hey, this person has a demon," and everyone went, "Ha ha, you idiot! Those things aren't real. What's wrong with you? He's a schizoaffective disorder." No, they all knew what was going on, right? And even if they didn't, then the demons were quick to point out that they knew who Jesus was, and they were none too pleased to be suddenly finding themselves in his sphere of influence there, right? Because they knew what was coming next. So Jesus in his ministry, the most thing he does is cast out demons. And so now, why is it that do we not have that going on now? I mean, Jesus said, "Hey, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at my return." And so we can also look and see that at the days of Noah, Nephilim, right, were a thing, and spirits, evil spirits that were running amok. And I started thinking about it. I went, "Holy crap!" Right? I started looking around and went, "Oh my gosh, I've totally missed it." So Jerry Mazowski and a bunch of guys, right, are clinical psychiatrists or psychologists, I think, Jerry. Anyway, but modern psychology is told very clearly, don't interact with them, don't engage if they say that they're hearing voices, right? Don't listen to them. Never act like there's anything there, right? So we don't want to give them, the wrong idea that it's actually a thing. And then if you do start talking to them and realizing that there's a consistency to their story that is, not only frightening, but you have now, again, I regularly in the news, I realize I'm jumping all over the place, and I'm so sorry. It's just the way it is right now. The thing that makes it not do that is broken right now, and so you just have to bear with me. I'm sorry. We'll get back. I think we'll or not. Right? We'll find out together. How about that? But it does appear, right, that this is going on. We're just less attuned to it, right? It's going to get you locked up if you run around saying that there's demons possessing people all over the place. There's going to be a little bit of that'll shake people up a little bit, right? So it becomes kind of awkward, especially when modern psychiatry is told don't engage them, don't even if their stories are exactly consistent, and they often are, with each other, right? Don't give any credit to it, no credence whatsoever, because that maybe up to half of the people that I see out there that you would say in the NPC role would be easily influenced. And I can certainly see if you take it like a continuum, right, somewhere on the spectrum, like autism. No no bag on autistic people. My wife is on the spectrum, so I can be cool about that. But point here being that sort of on the spectrum, right? So from between a sort of walls, right, and head spinning around stuff. I think those things all are happening right now. I think people are not wanting to talk, obviously, for obvious reasons, about the really crazy stuff. And on the other thing, right, people would think they were crazy if they were talking about it. So you can see why becoming increasingly a thing. And I suspect that there will be some event, right, that sort of triggers a mass behavioral strangeness, right? That there will be perhaps some event like we have now. Just if we just look at mostly peaceful protests, people behave in ways in mobs that they would not normally do. They stop thinking and they become part of this mob mentality. So even if we put it in very basic psychological, right, terms, there's something going on. And if we put it in the spiritual terms of what we see going on out there, it's a whole different landscape indeed. And from my perspective, I'm going to say there's a war on, and not everyone is aware of it. But it's a hot war. This is not a Cold War. This is not philosophy or even theological breakdowns. We're in Constantine type battle with demons. And maybe one day we can have a talk about that. I have a little bit of experience, not much. I don't like them; they smell bad, and it's not a fun experience to be anywhere near them, right? And I'm not well suited for that kind of demon hunter shit. It's just my experience is if you pay attention to them, you'll just draw them, right? So if you focus on them, they'll give you something to do all day long. And again, it's unpleasant. There's no purpose for it from my perspective, right? They're here to cause harm, and they don't get to touch me, right? Because Dad is holding on to me tight and he covers me. But they can make things unpleasant around you, and it can certainly bug people if you're not careful. Bug you, and certainly if you pay too close attention, then right you'll attract it to you. And I don't have any desire to do that. So not going to be the focus of my channel, anything like that. But what I do want to do, right, is to make it easier, right, for us just to, I guess, stop fiddling around. I don't know how to put this right. It's just that people have been bugging me for, since I've started this stupid thing. I don't say stupid. Since we started doing this, right? I should, start a cult. I thought I was doing good with that one, until that fell apart. So. I thought it was fun, right? Lean into it. But let me be straightforward instead of just, playful and catty, because it's an awkward space for me. Something that kind of battling around for quite some time in my life in multiple ways, right? As people go, hey, you need to, start a church or something. I'm just like, well, why in the world would I do that? Right? That sounds like a terrible idea. Being in ministry is great if it weren't for all the people, right? So I have no interest in that as especially as the kind of thing that we grew up with and seen. I don't want it. I want none of that. In fact, I want the opposite of that. My desire right now, right, is basically to just come alongside people who are out in the desert and they're hurting and they're thirsty, and maybe offer them a cold drink of water. Right? I don't have a Kool-Aid to sell. It's certainly not Jim Jones style Kool-Aid, right? I'm not asking anything of you other than at this point, if you want to pursue a relationship with Dad and you think that's maybe in your best interest, or ideally, right, if you have and you're growing, right, but you have questions or you just need some encouragement, man, I'm all over that, right? So too long. I mean, I've been good the whole time with people want to dip their toe into, a little bit of spirituality, right? Especially when they find out that there's walls around this place, and figure maybe it's a good idea to figure out how this thing was, or who built it, or why. It's pretty difficult to to be a globe believer. Well, let me flip it around. Once you see the truth of where we live, it becomes impossible, I think, to maintain a strictly atheistic viewpoint, right? Even agnosticism is considerably more difficult because it's right there in your face, right? It becomes very clear that this was an intelligently designed realm for us. And that it is inhabited by all kinds of living things, and a fair amount of them on the other side of some kind of veil, right, that we can't clearly see. But and if the circumstances are right, we can clearly see that they're there. And they wish, many of them, to cause us harm. They're malevolent. There are, in my opinion, what we interact with are not the spirits of your dead relatives, right? That's a lie. To get you to, it's an illusion to get you to talk to them, and then they'll mess up with you. Now, is it possible that under certain circumstances that can happen? According to Scripture, yes. Saul, or rather Samuel, was brought up by Saul and was quite unhappy about it. Said, what are you doing? I just taking my nap. What's wrong with you, boy? So it appears, right, that she successfully, and she said that she was capable of doing it, and it appeared that the spirit of Samuel came up and interacted with him. So, according to Scripture, right, that's a thing that can occur, but it also strongly discourages it. And I think you can pretty easily imagine, why. Stay away from that, right? Trust me on this. It's not worth the even entertainment value, right? It's not very entertaining. So they smell bad. They make the room cold. They're assholes. I'm not a big fan. But they're real, right? I mean, my experience is they're very real, and what I'm seeing now is that they're not just out there, but they're inhabiting people, right? And but not in the movie. I mean, maybe from time to time that I'm not seeing, but not in the not in the movie kind of way, and they walk up walls or whatever. But I mean, I've seen some pretty weird shit, probably close in that category, but not all the time, right? And not for show usually. Although I guess if you really want one, you might get one. But these days, I certainly do see the evidence that there is a lot of people walking around with a lot of heavy burden on them. And yeah, right. Thought this was going to be short. Well, sorry, Allison. Sorry about your rotten luck. But yeah, I can't stay very long actually. And I'll have to admit, right, this stuff that I'm going through does cause a pretty good amount of pain at times, right? And it's very difficult to keep focus, concentration, and just to talk. It's really a challenge. And again, I don't want to be complaining, and I'm not trying to complain, but this is not the way I normally, operate. As I think it's usually I do it pretty much in an ephemeral state, kind of, off the cuff and very extemporaneous, and it's very difficult to do in the current state. And I'm not a fan of that. Again, if you didn't catch up, TLDR, I already had, after 3 years of trying to figure out what was wrong with me with this intractable vomiting, that appears to be related to a neurological issue. That'd be part of the myalgic encephalomyelitis, which is one of a group of myelin delamination disorders. Another one, which out of nowhere I just happened to show up with the other day, which is it's on the one end of the functional neurological disorder. So conversion, but again, if you go looking for that and you get an abstract that was done in another language and translated back into English, it kind of, like one of them I read, kind of says right at the outset that it's a mental disorder. It's like, huh? What? But I mean, if you go back and look at it in the original language, what it'll say is it's it's a condition of the of the neurological system, and it points back to the motor cortex, right, the brain. So it is in your brain, sure, but it's not a mental disorder, right? It's a physiological disorder that's disrupting the normal neural pathways. How about that? It's as good as any, I suppose. But part of it is that those neural pathways are now damaged. So it's the myelin sheath that is delaminating. Just, the covering is coming off, and that allows nerves to crosstalk, and so they're being very naughty right now, and it's no fun. How about that? But the long-term prognosis, I don't know. I've been playing Dr. Google while I'm waiting for my neurologist to get back into town so I can have a long chat with her. It's all over the place. It depends on, again, who wrote the abstract and which way you want to go with it. But I think it's mostly not good. So it's going to be a challenge, right? And these two seemingly unrelated things, and yet both are absolutely related with what appears to be a delamination of the myelin sheath, which I'm going to say is categorized as a bad thing. We don't want to see that. So, and again, some of the little twitches that I have, and I think you can hear them from time to time, that's a I have a big physiological twitch with that as well. So again, picture a dime store Michael J. Fox, right? Just shaking. And occasionally I'll get the twitch. But some of those twitches, though, now, I mean, are vision related, right? So when you twitch, you suddenly don't see. The eyes just don't resolve. And I got to tell you, it's dangerous. I shouldn't be driving. Because blindness, and sometimes you just never get it back, right? That's the great part. Some of this stuff just comes and you just never get it back. So, blindness, really bad, shaking. It's shocking to see. And that's, I think another thing is, I tend to avoid people, especially people that I know, because the look on their face is, quite upsetting to me. You don't like to see that look in people's faces. It unnerves you. So, but there may be some good news in this, and I will put it this way, right? If that, I believe that Dad, I believe him I take him at his word, right? And I've known him long enough to know that he is good and I can trust him. And if this is what he wants, then, that's what I want too. I just need guidance, right? And I need to know how to proceed and how to be a good servant for him in the midst of this. And I think I might have some ideas, but they may be a little manic, and so I'm sitting on it just for a little bit, talking to a couple of people, praying about it, because I don't want to be out there on my own and acting like an idiot. And since it's too late for that, I just don't want to be out there on my own. But I have some some ideas, and maybe this can be used for good. Right now, I'm going to be honest, it doesn't feel that way. It doesn't feel good. If it weren't for a very intimate relationship with my Creator, who I know that I can trust implicitly with all things, though He slay me, yet I will trust Him. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't be able to do this very well. It would be too intimidating. Because of all the things that I, have done and have been, in my life, the one thing that's been consistent for the most part is me being, me. And I rather liked me. Most share a dinner conversation with. And I am very much put off by the idea of not being me anymore. I rather don't like it as a premise. Immediately I began to look for and find problems with how it affects my piano playing. Instantly, my hands are shaking so bad it's very difficult. And I am also very out of practice. So, but it's on the edge of already being not fun, because it's instant evidence of harm and of the you that is going to go away in who knows how long, right? 10 weeks, 10 months, 10 years, I don't know, right? And they're not telling. So that's why I'm waiting for my neurologist to get back in town so we can figure out, how best to address it. And again, I think as with anything else, unless experimental brain surgery or some dumb shit, man, that's not for me. So if this is something Dad wants me to walk through, then that's what I'm going to do. I mean, I trust him. Like at this point in my life, let's do it, right? But I need to be sure. But if it's that way, right? If it is, then I would like to spend, and this is sort of, I guess, my, at least the beginning of the Hail Mary, right? Which is that I want to spend the remaining time, with friends or, with people I love and not be sad and weird about it, but to enjoy memories and the times while we still can. I just buried my mom. She passed away unexpectedly in January after she just didn't recover from a surgery, and you can see that it happens so quickly, right? So quickly. That's also again unnerving, and I want to share it with good people, right? And be a good servant. And I've gotten to share it with good people, and I think I need probably a little extra work. So if this is something he wants, he'll show me the way, and I will include you, fine folks, in the process. So you'll be I was going to say first, but really more like the 20th or 30th to know. But that's what'll happen is I'll say, hey, I'm going to do this thing, and if you can, here's what I'd like of you. In the interim, right? I would just ask for your prayers. I'm always jealous for your prayers. Part of maybe I'll give you a hint on this, right? So some of this was a back and forth over a period of time. It didn't. It's like one of those synchronicities that you're not really looking for. So Jenny Sparks, who's in our chat here tonight, and one of our lovely moderators. Thanks for your efforts. And I love Jenny and her new man, Candy David. So if you changed her name to Rife, you understand now that she's now Mrs. David Rife, and so that helps hopefully clarify all that. But we met at the Solar Return. Is that the one we met at? The gathering there in South Carolina. And one of those things where you just sort of know them like right away. You just look at each other and go, "Oh, I know you, right?" And so then she tells me right away, right afterwards, she gets back and says she's kind of manic a little bit, right, processing stuff. I think many of us were, right? It was a fabulous experience to be in the presence and the physical presence of other people who had a similar heart, right? We actually got to experience that instead of being, the outcast and the ostracized one. We got to be the cool kids, for a minute. But it was really delightful to meet a bunch of folks and some of you who are listening right now. As listenership, I think, was considerably larger at the time because there weren't, people actively saying some really, bizarre and kind of ugly things about me. But I'm not even complaining about that because what it, I think, has done is exactly what I have said before, right? Is that when you turn on a light in the darkness, you're absolutely going to draw some bugs. So, and if you wait long enough, right, sooner or later they'll reveal what they are. And I made mistakes, right, in part just because I wanted it so bad. I wanted it so badly for people to see it, right, and to interact with Dad in a way that maybe they hadn't before. And so I let my guard down in an effort to expedite that, I suppose. And so I take full responsibility for all my behavior, and I don't think I did poorly by anybody, right? I know some people would say otherwise, but there's no, there's not nothing. There's not even a really an open accusation, right? So anyway, don't care about that. But what I'm getting to, right, is that I think it was always about the people more than the thing, right? Because I don't really care that much anymore. In fact, I was already kind of in trouble with some of the quote unquote, people who thought they were leaders, right, toward the end there, because I was saying then as I'm saying now, right? That this cannot be the end, right? If you're just drawn in by the idea of, don't we all agree that there's a war on, right? It is there is a battle happening out there, and if we are not engaged in it, then what are we doing? I mean, we can sit around all day and make jokes and yell at people named Nathan, right? But what does that get us? What does it do? What I saw it do in this community is take a community and throw it in a toilet, right? Because people had big fucking egos that they can't back down from, and not to dishonor the dead, but they did it to me, so whatever. Anyway, look. Point being is, for me, I don't care that much about that. And it's one step of everything. It was just enough to really say, man, these guys are all in, right? They would lie about that, right? And then it opens up your eyes to see some other pathways, right? And I finally got to, after years and years and years and years, because my dad introduced me just to the idea of, God, I was like 16 or 17, and he handed me Epperson's The Unseen Hand, right? And he's like, hey, if even half of this stuff is true, we got to keep our, eyes peeled. God, that was 83, 84, something like that, a long time ago. And I've been, to one degree or another, right, researching it, ever since, and keeping, sometimes very deeply. And so just about every rabbit hole you can go down. Now, again, I don't say that as like, oh, look at me, right? Like, oh, look how great I am, because I will say that in some ways is very not helpful. You can go find yourself way down places that you really not only are not helpful, right, but are decidedly unhelpful. And if you keep going there, it will grab you and you'll never get out. And I think that is the intent of some of them, right, is to draw you in and just keep you there, right? Circling, hey, how are you? And circling, right, and going around the same mountain over and over and over again. So, again, that seems not helpful. Squeak, go for it, I guess, right? But from my perspective and what I've been through, right, most of this stuff is simply a distraction. It serves to keep us away from, which I think is so I get awkward because I'm telling you what I think is the important stuff, and really. I wouldn't want anybody just to take it from me because I said it, right? I'd be very disappointed if people just took something I said at face value just because I said it. I was like, no, that's not the point, right? You missed the whole thing. The idea, right, is that you learn for yourself how to feed yourself, I guess, right? How to discern, have good discernment, right? Understand who's lying to you and who's not. It's not. Once you kind of get it, it's not difficult, right? Because they're not very creative, and because they don't have to be. We're real easy to fool most of the time because we want our ego stroked, and so a confidence game isn't anything to do with your confidence in them because they're a stranger, right? The confidence is your confidence in your infallibility, and so the way a confidence game works is that they get you to believe that you're too smart and too clever to ever be taken. So it's not a difficult thing to see, right? And once you can see it, once you become familiar with the way that the trick works, right? Then it doesn't work on you anymore because you see the trick, and they use the same kind of tricks, and so that's what kind of saying is that the details become less and less meaningful because it's simply. You can see their fingerprint on it. And as soon as you see the fingerprint on it, you know that they're lying. And if they're lying, right, then you can pretty much discard it. Although I still listen to it because I'm curious to see what they'll say. And sometimes there are, they'll add some truths in there because it can't all be lies or it wouldn't stick. So sometimes you can find some interesting stuff kind of laying around out there, or in the midst of other things that they're telling you. So it pays good dividends, right? And it's wise to listen and not just reject something out of hand. But mostly, I can reject its veracity pretty much out of hand. I know that it's not going to be true because I know the source is compromised, right? And I know that they have a very strong interest in me believing what they say, right? So there are at least two elements, and I'm thinking, two strikes, right? I think I'll do this. So going back to the people that are doing what we. Let me make sure I can get here without revealing too much. Let's see here. If I can find it. People who is that? Ooh, that's a big no-no. Yeah. Here. Oh, okay. So, people here, for example. Let's see if I can get this back again. What's happening here? Is that it? Okay. So, one of the things you could count on, back in the day, is you put up any information like this on, Facebook, and you could be pretty assured that, somebody's going to get right on you and just browbeat you. And they were relentless. They'd come in and browbeat you to death. And I think the idea there, right, is to browbeat you to death. So you'll kind of go, be quiet, walk away, and don't look at it anymore. Some people got better at debate. Outsmart you. You were fairly clever and you knew what's going on. You just flip it back around on them, and obviously the facts are in favor of. Right, of at least geometric agnosticism. So their model is nonsense, and so they try to put that out there. And it, again, you can be pretty adept at shooting them down, but they'll still come at it pretty hard, right? And they'd still try to use ad homs, and that's pretty much the way it would go. They'd just come in, they'd have 1 or 2 points, and then they'd try to push real hard to make that. And if that wasn't working, then just go for the ad homs and start calling people names. Pretty straightforward stuff, and nobody very bright. And these people, it doesn't take very long before you go, yeah, these are the paid bot, people. They're writing a bunch of bots, but they're also, this is who the, alphabet agencies or whatever. This is who they recruit out of high school and first couple of years of college. Little hacker types, whatever, blah blah blah. They're good with the lingo in terms of internet speak. They're kind of in that space, but they don't know anything about flat Earth. They don't know anything about physics. So they're not good at it. And so they get a script, right? Here's blah blah blah. Say these things, and mostly at the outset, it was again just to intimidate you. Nobody will like you, right? Don't say those words because then people are going to say they're going to make fun of you, and they did, right? And so all that stuff. And so some people. Would back up pretty quick. They'd run and be quiet. And then now here's kind of a new one, and this is an interesting tack here, and I thought I'd throw this in here. So you've got I'm not the OP here, but somebody else is. And I can point you to some resources if you like. It's not necessary that you have any beliefs to come here and listen. Just don't become an asshole. That's all I ask. If you're interested in that sort of stuff and alternative, philosophies and really flat Earth, isn't it? It's just one more way to see that they're lying, and an opportunity for you to realize the nature of the place that we live in. Right? It's a created realm, but it's also populated by people and then other. I don't know, things that don't like us enough. Not a good way to interpret reality because our eyes can deceive us. Seeing a mirage in the desert would be a good example. Flat Earth is a psyop. The model does not make sense upon close examination. Okay, so you want to gloss that, Dimitri? Okay, so what part? Right. So now we have a person. They know what a psyop is. Hint, 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 hint. They know what that is. Deceive, right? So they come in And basically, these are the people, right? So their goal here is not really to attack. So they just want to stop them and to go, oh, see, now they're taking a different tack. Instead of coming in right away with the ad hom, now they say, look, I looked into it. It's nonsense. And so it's just there to distract you, blah, blah, blah. But you'll notice how close this is. Look at the script here. So Dmitry Ivanov, right? Ivana Cruncha, whatever. So he gets in there. He throws his stuff in there. He's asked some direct questions. What model, right? Do you think the horizon is curved? What model? He's also told to go away. With that, so here we have some of the people on their team, right? So they get a couple of people in here to play a little game. I don't know specifically if she is, but there's another one. So here we have Meg. Meg is on the FE side, right? She understands it. Stacy is all over it. She knows the deal. I make my point there. John Hines, there's his thing. Now they say, somebody else posts here. Now they're saying, hey, send this to me, but they're not going to watch it, right? They're wasting your time. I don't know if it's flat. I don't know, because it doesn't make a difference, so it doesn't matter. See, 3 posts before this, people asking to raise their hands or FEs so you can remove them, right? So now you're making people uncomfortable again, just when you thought it was safe to tell people about flat Earth, and now they're going to try to come at you again, right? So Judd, because for a lot of people just thought of that would be true to change their paradigm, and then they sort of come back here. So here we go, right? Christopher is trying to play for the team here, but you got this guy. And maybe it's because I gave him the toss, and I feel bad because we had a couple of guys who really were going after it, right? But their point is, really, again, they're not arguing with me, and I'm not arguing with them either, because I don't play chess with pigeons. Right? Because they just knock over all the pieces and they flap around and they shit on the board and they tell everybody they won. It's ridiculous. So no, I don't do that. But occasionally I will mock them because that's amusing. If I'm feeling particularly magnanimous, I might mock them or whatever. But they invariably, this is the tack they take now. This is what I was saying before. It doesn't take them very long when they realize they're not making any headway. They just get mad and they start calling people foul names, and if it's my page, I won't tolerate it, and off they go. So that's how that game is played, right? But I think it's real. So yeah, it's right. They're trying to influence the audience. See, here's the thing: why do it at all? Why spend even a moment on that? Fear. But not nearly, again, the kind of fear that I see when I see people get really bent about even the nature of this channel. Like, it's really interesting, right? That the vast majority of, what is, do it this way here. Sorry. I don't like when other people do this, and here I am doing it. Okay. So, mostly, again, what you get into YouTube now, right, is the people playing the algorithm, right? They've occupied every space, every possible space that they can do. So they'll pick something and unboxing, right, or kung fu movies, or all the bad what's his name? Steven Seagal movies, right? It's terrible. And so they'll just spend time with that. And then they run out of material, so they start getting a pretty good following. And then they get kind of boring because they don't really have any personality. They just, they're there. So then they start, they want to be Moist Charlie or something. But what they do is they start, talking about other people's stuff. So now they're doing reaction videos. This is a new space, and it's like, sure, my wife says, hey, you should get into that, right? Just quit your job, just stay home and do this. You talk about it all day anyway, so just do this and make your living from it. I don't know if I want to do that because it's kind of annoying. I don't want to be that guy, right? I just don't. I don't want to be that guy, and I don't want to be that guy. And I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be that guy. And 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 I don't want to be they're douchebags, and they're not very bright, and they're not really very funny to me, and it's a distract. Like, again, here's my take on it, right? Is that what I want is something more like I don't know. Yeah, stuff like this, right? And what I really for modern world, just reading scripture. And it becomes a very easy thing to defend if people are, up my butt about what a terrible person I am and how I'm misleading everybody. Because, I don't have to make the argument because it's just reading scripture, right? It's not that difficult. And if people come in to make a big point about why you're being misled, that should give you a pretty good indication of where they would like you to go, which is anywhere but to find Dad. And that's, here's my goal, right? If you guys want to know what I'm about, I love Dad, obviously, a lot. I'm a big fan of J-Bro. He is my best friend, and without him, I couldn't do any of this, right? And he saved me, and that's the one thing that people often struggle with in Christianity with, Jesus is the savior thing. What's the need for that? What is he saving me from? And we could say from yourself or anything like that, but that's kind of pithy. And so we'll take a time to put together some questions and that sort of stuff if you have them. Usually by the time people get to me, they've got some experience, they know a little bit about it, or they have a long experience, but they were badly treated by the church, right? Which just, if you've ever been to a church, then you've probably been badly treated. So, I haven't darkened the door of a church in like 10 years because I couldn't find Jesus there. And what's the point of doing all that effort if I couldn't find Jesus there? And I could hang out with him at home a lot better, and certainly without being really disappointed in people. Right? They were treating like I go there, and they were treating it like some exclusive club. Like, hey, look how great we are because we're here, and it had that stench of exclusivity on it, right? Like we get to do this because we're good, and you don't. And that is the antithesis of the message of Jesus, of course. And without be motivated to help you as best I understand, because I'm kind of spiritually retarded. So if you're able to deal with that, and that I've recently had a major neurological event, and I kind of look like a retard, I'm sure now people are going to be really mad at me because I used the R word twice in a derogatory way. It means slow, right? So I'm just kind of slow, yeah, so basically, that's kind of how I put it the last couple of days for people. It's like I don't have any Kool-Aid to sell you. If you're interested in a cool glass of water while we're out here in the desert, I'm good for that, and I would be very honored and humbled if you'd like to, have me help walk you home. I'm willing to do that, just to walk you home. But I don't care for the position of authority or anything like that. I don't want anybody doing anything I say. Again, best I can do is kind of point you in the right direction and let you go. And if you come back and you have some questions, I'll do the best. I'm going to pass out too. So, I'm belaboring the point. I think that you're doing it well, right, Jenny? You just did me a favor. Shut up, right? And I think that's right. I came to the end. I think I said what I wanted to say. But if you want to walk forward, right, I'm here with you, and I'm happy to be your friend. And if you're here because you want to create conflict, right, or distract others, come on, man. That's what we're in third grade here. Get a grip. And you're not helping anybody, right? They can choose for themselves. And if you do manage to take on yourself the karma of pushing somebody off that path, man, I'm doing you a favor by not allowing you to do it, because that's gonna. Dad has some things to say about that, and I can show you in scripture, but I'll wait until next time. Yeah, not a good thing to do. So if you're going to jump in there and misdirect people, that's a ballsy move. Ballsy move. I don't recommend it. So with that, again, I don't want to make it a hassle to anybody. And what I want to do is tell you that I love you. I'm so glad that you are here. I really enjoy the time that we spend together. And it's been clearly it's been a weird time for me, and I'm still going through a whole bunch of stuff. And again, I just really don't want to make it into a boohoo fest. It's not my bag. But because it's going on, I'll probably have some things that I'm going to do for that, and largely because it might indicate that I don't have the time that I thought I did. So maybe I'll try to take advantage of it. We'll see. Feels like something Dad is putting in my heart. But once I get it kind of narrowed down, and so it's something that makes sense. And if I say something that makes sense, mark it on your calendar. Anyway, I love you guys, and I hope to see you again real soon. I'll try to make things a little more timely, as in a regular schedule. That'd be super great. We'll talk more later. Have a good night. Be well.
Starlight slip away, trust the light, pray for dawn. I close my eyes, found a river inside that flows to the hands of time. Voices speak.